Mapuia ke ala o ka pika ke I ka o ahe ahe.
Aloha, everybody. Thank you for being here. I'm going to change it up a little bit, collect myself, and thank these fine gentlemen for being here today. Thank you, gentlemen. It's amazing, the brotherhood of the Marine Corps, for these gentlemen to fly all the way from Honolulu to pay respects to my father. Sorry, because I've read my speech so much and I've tried not to be emotional, but seeing these gentlemen here today is amazing. Thank you. Thank you also to my lifelong friends and my newer friends, and Dickie and Cindy Moon, who made a huge change in my life as a young man, to my brothers sitting in the back row that have supported me through some very crazy times since the age of about 17, to my family, my mother, my sisters, my friends. Thank you for being here. I want to start by saying something that's on my hat, and it says, once a Marine, always a Marine. Marines are proud to say this, and they truly live their entire lives as Marines. At the core of a Marine soul is loyalty, honor, courage, discipline, and love of his country, his Marine brothers, his family, his friends. A Marine's bond is his strength. If you are here today, you know my father was a Marine. You also know that my father was a human being, and while he lived to be all these things, he was not. My father was human. My dad lived by the Marine credo. Pops, Grandpa, Duke, Clay, whatever you may have called him, he was Superman to me. Not many know a lot about Pop. Dad came from a long line of enlisted Marines. His father, his grandfather, and his father were both First and Second World War wartime Marines, as was my dad during the Korean War. Dad was the son of Fred and Helen Gatchell. Fred was a simple man, a machinist in a factory in Elyria, Ohio. Helen was a stay-at-home mom raising Dad and Caroline, his youngest sister. Dad and his sister were raised in less than a middle-class family. As Dad often said, his family was from the other side of the tracks. Duke was his childhood nickname given to him by his parents that would later become paradoxical, as Dad served in Hawaii as an orderly to Admiral Radford in the Korean War from 1950 to 1953. This decided position was not by his choice, however. 5 Marines were considered for this lofty position, and Dad was chosen. Dad often expressed almost a sadness for not having fought alongside his brothers, most of whom lost their lives fighting brutal battles in Chosin, Heartbreak Ridge, Anchon, and Pork Chop Hill, just to name a few. Sometime probably February or March of 1950, a large ship full of Marines sailed into San Diego bound to Korea. On the way to Korea, the ship made port in San Francisco, where they were thrown a huge party, for lack of better words, a farewell party. Lots of pretty girls were invited to attend. My lovely mom, Nina, happened to be there, and she was amongst the prettiest of them all. This party would be destiny. My mom and dad's eyes met from across a very large dance floor, and it was love at first sight. Mom and Dad wrote letters for the next following 3 years and fell deeply in love. Dad married Mom after just 6 months, returning from his tour to San Francisco. When Dad was stationed in Hawaii, he wore a .44 caliber at his side, and he carried a machine gun in a golf bag, as he was an orderly to Admiral Radford. And if you're from Hawaii, you know who that man is. Whenever Dad had liberty, he was surfing Hollywood surfboards on Waikiki Beach. As you can well imagine, a haole named Duke had a pretty rough time being accepted into the Waikiki Beach boy crew. But my dad managed to befriend Bunny Kahanamoko, Duke's brother, Conrad Kuna, Buffalo, Rabbit Cake High, and other surfing legends on Waikiki Beach. Dad vowed that he would someday return to Hawaii, and that would be some 50 years ago today. 2 days and 1 son later, my dad was attending law school in Long Beach, California, had 3 jobs, and nearly died of a heart attack at 30-some years of age. Mom and Dad worked hard all their lives. They struggled to provide the best they could for us. Our family experienced a lot of ups and downs, glimpses of grandeur, and enjoyed an exotic life in Asia for a brief time. But essentially, we lived our childhood on the beaches of Oahu. Despite any of the difficult times, we always had each other. An abundance of love. There was never lack of that. If you're here today, it means that you were some of the few left that were a part of Pop's life. It means you are a part of our family. In the end, I believe the true measure of our lives is how we have raised our children, how we have positively affected others, and what meaningful marks we have left on this earth. There's a lot more I could say about Dad's life here today, but most of it would read like a scene from the movie Big Fish. I say this lovingly and fondly as the end of this magical film. The Dying Old Man's Big Fish stories meet some degree of truth as the whimsical, larger-than-life characters from his stories show up one by one for his funeral. Many of the faces I see here today are from my youth, and they remind me that Dad's Big Fish stories were likely mostly true. Thank you, all of you. I can say with great certainty, my father would be most proud to hear a letter of love and gratitude that his grandson wrote just shortly after his death. I waited until this day to share it with all of you.
Starts off by saying, "Dear family, it has come to my attention that our loving and beautiful grandfather has passed. I am the only grandson who got to know him so well. I lived with him nearly every moment growing up, as he watched me grow from an infant to a young man. He provided me with education when I was young, helping me with sentences for my spelling classes, showing me new ways to communicate and more complex writing techniques for my age. He came into my life because I needed a grandpa. My other grandfather passed before I could even remember him. But Grandpa Gatchell has been by my side for as long as I can remember. Grandpa has had a life full of memories, funny, sad, angry, confusing, name it. Grandpa has given me so many memories. I will remember him always. He is the reason I can bite the bullet and not speak back in an insulting manner. Grandpa and my father taught me how to be a mature and respectful young man. I guess that's why my father is the way he is today, because my grandfather's wisdom has been passed down to the both of us. Grandpa was a fighter. He served for the Marines, raised children, and battled with physical difficulties that could have taken his life a lot earlier. We should all be happy that we got to live a life for as many years, always surrounded by family. Sadly, we weren't there for when he needed us most. I wish I was by his side, holding his hand, letting him know that the whole family was there for him as he passed. We've lost 2 of our family members this year, but please be happy to know that they are together and no longer have to face the cruel world they were in before they left us. I listened to the song my father sent me, Cats in the Cradle, and it brought me to tears. It impacted me so much that I pictured my father's story throughout the song, like puzzle pieces fitting perfectly together. I pictured myself in my father's shoes when he was a child, seeing his father as a complete man, a man who he wanted to be like when he grew up. Grandpa has gifted my father with the love, support, and education, and a loving mind. I have gratefully received these attributes. If it wasn't for Grandpa being Grandpa, my dad wouldn't have the life he has today, nor would any of us have the life we have today. You can see how much of an impact he has had on all of us. He may have been very poor with money, but he was very rich with character and wisdom. All of us can think about a time where he has influenced us to make a good or critical thought, a decision that made you think and then clearly act. He has given us all an opportunity to look back at what great things he has done for us and what great things he has left behind for us to reflect on. We miss you, Grandpa, and our memories of you will never fade. Love, Kai Gatchell. Wow. That's pretty amazing. I had no idea he thought about all these things, so it's really nice to see him put it in writing. And I know he feels like that. I know he does, so thanks for letting me read this. Thank you, everyone, for being here today.